Hi guys, we are gonna see question set 15 in this video. So question set 15 is related to question set 11, which we were told to create a database called NextMobileDB for a company called NextMobile. So this is the final video of the question we talked about in the question set 11. So through this question set 11 to 15, we created tables in our ER diagram. So in question set 11, they told us to create a database called NextMobileDB, and then they told us to create a table called user. So in question set 12, we created two tables called customer table and supply table. Also in question set 13, they told us to create three tables: product table, GRN table and stock table. And finally, in question set 14, we created the invoice table, and this is the final question set. In this question set, they've told us to make relationships between the tables we created. So they have given 6 questions how to create and what are the tables that we need to create relationships between the tables. So when we take the first question, what is the database relationship between the supply table and the GRN table? Write it down in the ER diagram. So they've told us to write down the relationship between supply table and GRN table. So if we open our ER diagram, you can see the tables we created along the question set 11 to 14. So in the first question, they've told us to write down the relationship between supply table and GRN table. If we see the relationship between these two tables, first when we see the GRN, what is GRN? GRN means an invoice given by the supplier to the agent. When we take the relationship between these two tables, shortly a supplier can have many GRN and one GRN can have only one supplier. So there is a one-to-many relationship. So the GRN side is the many side and the supplier side is the one side. When we go to the next second question, what is the database relationship between the GRN table and the product table? Write it down in the ER diagram. So they've told us to write down the relationship between GRN table and product table. So here is my product table and this is my GRN table. If you take the relationship in the view of product, there can be many GRN for a particular product, but when it comes to a GRN table, there can be only one product for a GRN. So there is a one-to-many relationship in between these two tables. So GRN is the many side in this case. So now you can see a one-to-many relationship has formed in between these two tables. So let's go to the third question. What is the database relationship between the product and product table and the stock table? Write it down in the ER diagram. So if we come to the ER diagram, so this is our product table and this is our stock table. So if we see the relationship between these two, it also forms a one-to-many relationship. If you take the relationship in the view of a stock, there can only be one product in a particular stock, but if you take that particular stock, there can be many products. So in this case, stock has a many side and product has one side. So in between these two tables, a one-to-many relationship is formed. Let's go to the fourth question. What is the database relationship between the product table and the customer table? So they've asked the relationship between the product and customer table. Before we do the fourth question, it's better to do the fifth and sixth question because it's easy to explain the fourth question after doing the fifth and sixth question. If you see the fifth question, what is the database relationship between the product table and the invoice table? Write it down in the ER diagram. They've told us to write down the relationship between product table and the invoice table. So this is the invoice table and this is the product table. So a particular product can have many invoices, but a particular invoice should have only one product. There is a one-to-many relationship in between product table and invoice table. So if you say the sixth question, what is the database relationship between the customer table and the invoice table? Write it down in the ER diagram. They've told us to write down the relationship between customer and invoice tables. So this is the invoice customer table and this is the invoice table. So if we take the relationship between these two tables, a customer can have many invoices, but a particular invoice can have only one customer. So it's clear that we have a one-to-many relationship between these two tables. So let's create a one-to-many relationship. So invoice is the many side and customer is the one side. Finally, let's go to the fourth question. They've asked us the relationship between product and customer table. So this is the customer table and this is the product table. We see the relationship in the view of customer. A customer can have many products. Also, if we see the relationship in the view of product, a product can be purchased by many customers. So in this case, there will be a many-to-many relationship. If we create a many-to-many relationship in a database, it will break into two one-to-many relationship and a particular invoice table. So in this scenario, we are not going to create a many-to-many relationship because we've already created an invoice table. This is the question set 15. So in this question set, we found out the relationship between the tables and also we wrote down those relationship in the ER diagram. So let's see the question set 16 in the next video.